Kelly's Court is back in session in an early version today. On the docket, a major lawsuit for the Obama administration. Syndicated radio talk show star Mark Levin, who also was the Department of Justice Chief of Staff under President Reagan, has filed a lawsuit through a group that he runs against what he is calling an out-of-control and unconstitutional EPA. They are suggesting that the EPA is about to unleash a host of new rules and regulations right after the election that they allege will create havoc no matter who wins this election. Listen.
We're fighting an administration that has no regard for the rule of law, in my humble opinion, whatsoever. And it's going to continue to push the edge of the envelope. And this is why, folks, more than anything else, Obama needs to be defeated, and these people need to be thrown the hell out of office.
Joining me now, David Wohl, defense attorney and former prosecutor, and attorney Jonna Spilbor, defense attorney, former prosecutor. All right, guys, thank you. So, David, what is Levin's point? Why does he believe the EPA is about to unleash a bunch of regulations on us, no matter who wins on November 6th?
Yeah, Megan, it's basically a consumer fraud lawsuit that he's bringing, and it's based upon their past, Megan. In the past several years, the EPA has outsourced hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars, that is, and making expenditures such as promoting green industry in China, in Russia, in Mexico. They have decided to give millions of dollars to pig farmers to decide how they can recapture methane gas and convert it into green energy. Megan, it goes on and on. Interpol has been given $150,000 to allow them, and I'm quoting here, how to recapture people who are engaging in carbon fraud, carbon trading fraud, whatever that is. So it's consumer fraud, Megan. These FOIA lawsuits are highly political and don't count on anything being released soon, but I congratulate him for doing this.
Jonna, they talk about in the lawsuit how back in earlier this last year, a New York Times report came out talking about how the president, and through the EPA, was planning on tightening the regulations about what can be released into the ozone, but allegedly told his EPA administrator, Lisa Jackson, don't do it until after the election. And Levin's point seems to be the American people deserve to know what they're facing after the election, before the election. And so he submitted a document request to the EPA, and a Freedom of Information Act request. Even if you don't believe with the premise of what he's alleging, or what they wrote in the New York Times, that Obama's getting ready to do that, doesn't the EPA have to comply with FOIA requests?
And they are, Megan. See, a FOIA request, the EPA probably in every government agency gets inundated with FOIA requests. And just so people know, FOIA is the method by which the general public like me can get their hands on certain information that's provided by the government. There are rules to that. And according to Levin's lawsuit, he made the request via FOIA. That's fine. But you don't get the documents like that. The government agency has to tell you, we're going to give you the documents, but then they get time to actually produce them. The documents that he wants are going to be available for public notice on January 20th. Anyway,
how convenient.
But hey,
how long do you normally get to respond to a FOIA request, David? Isn't it an abbreviated time? Because Levin says he's been waiting for 65 days.
Ordinarily, at least in every state has a FOIA law, too. And ordinarily, it's 90 days, Megan, and that time has passed, so he filed the lawsuit. But, this is so political, Megan. Obviously, the party in control has tremendous control over documents that are released, and if it damages
he wants expedited. He wants the documents on an expedited basis, and he can get them if he can prove it's a matter of current exigency to the American public.
Absolutely.
We'll pick it up on the other side of the break. So the background on this is allegedly the EPA is going to unleash these regulations, tightening restrictions on what can be put out into the environment, and this is going to hurt certain industries and possibly cost jobs. But the belief is that it may clean up the environment but cost jobs. And according to some Republicans, they say that the administration has said, look, it's more concerned with the environment, saying, quote, what are the health impacts of unemployment? So Levin's point is the American people deserve to know whether their jobs are going to be endangered for the sake of the environment. And if so, they should know that before November 6th. Can he make a political argument like that persuasively in court, David?
Well, I don't think he's going to actually even get in court, but absolutely, Megyn, with the backdrop of the green industry being catastrophic failures such as Solyndra, don't American voters have the right to know what types of policies are going to be implemented? Are hundreds of millions of dollars going to be sent to China, Russia, and India, and we will lose complete control over that money? Are taxpayers concerned about that? Do they have a right to know that they're going to lose control over that kind of outsourcing of their tax dollars? Absolutely. And they should know before the election. And that's why he's desperately filed this lawsuit in an attempt to get this information out so voters have a choice and are informed when they go to the polls.
Back in 2011, John, the National Journal quoted some, quote, insider affiliated, I guess, with the Democrats by saying, quote, the only decision metric that matters for the next 14 months is will this help us get it reelected? If a regulatory decision is a liability, we should fully expect the administration to delay it until November 7th. I mean, might that persuade a judge, maybe a Republican appointee, if they can get in front of him? And will it get in front of such a judge, since this is an administrative argument?
You know, I don't know if it'll get in front of a judge in time. When you talk about whether this is a matter of public exigency, one of the things on Levin's agenda is this. He wants the people to know that part of the EPA's plan going forward is to, quote, make minority communities green. Come on, what is wrong with putting some recycle bins in some lower income neighborhoods? That's not a matter of public exigency. That's something that's going to happen in the future, but that doesn't need to be known before the election.
And that's what he's got to prove, that it's urgent that we learn this in order to get that expedited release of the documents. We'll follow it. Thank you, panel.
Thanks.